Everything is good, man. We're going to talk about a couple of things today because it's pretty interesting on how things are kind of like working out right now. You know, woke up this morning, you know, wifey wakes up before I do, and then I got a bunch of TikTok posts, right, that I want to tell you that she sent me, and it was a different amount of TikTok posts, and one of the posts that one of the first posts that I see this morning was on how Venezuela got attacked and their leader got taken, and the United States is all over it. Not that I'm into politics or anything, but I believe that this is kind of like a very profound example of what the moon does and planetary alignments, bro. You know what I'm saying? And these are the things that we get to observe in awareness, of course. When these things are happening outside of ourselves, it's important to understand that that is kind of like a collective reverberation of what's happening on the inside. And it's different for everybody else because you're not necessarily, you can't, there's no correlation. You can't put yourself in that position somehow, right? But you don't realize it's all vibrating one and the same. And it's like when you drop a pond, drop a drop of water in a still pond, it reverberates and then comes back this way. It's kind of like how sound works. It's kind of like how even the universe works. When you drop a drop in the still pond of your life, it reverberates in everything. That's why a lot of people are affected by our actions and our behaviors that are around us. It's cause and effect. It's a universal principle. It's a universal law. Hello, Diana Lynn. How are you? And when we understand that there's a cause and an effect to everything, we make we start to become more accountable for our decisions, our actions, and our choices, right? Because we know that every action has a reaction. It's the law of correspondence as well, you know? And I think a lot of people don't realize that every action has a reaction, and the universe responds to what's being projected towards it as a mirror, showing us our reality and how we feel, think, and act about ourselves, right? But it could also be influence from the outside. And, it's kind of like the mirror, the mirror itself, the outside looking in, or the inside looking out, whichever way you want to look at it. You understand that everything starts with you and how you feel about it, right? Or how you think or believe or act on it. And this full moon represents that because, believe it or not, there's water and there's earth right now. We're in the full moon energy of water and earth. And water and earth, dude, if you think about it from a very simple, non-complexical, type of attitude, if you can make a lot of things with water and earth. You can get mud, you can get stuck in the mud, or you can make clay with it, or you can make something that's even more profound. You could build a house or a shelter with it, or you could build all these fantastic things with water and earth. But I believe that's also a measure of how we have emotional capacity to deal with these things and conscious awareness of our thing, of these things as well. Because and it's just a simple clay model can mean such a big thing in our lives, not realizing that it's like, hey, what are you going to do with the water and the earth of today, right? Are you going to make mud? Are you going to split the stick in the mud? Or are you going to make something with it? Are you going to do something with it? Are you going to give yourself something today? You know what I'm saying? Are you going to allow yourself to receive the positivity of the full moon energy? Or, you know what I'm saying, your awareness of all those things? Or are you going to give in to all the numbness and the chaos that a lot of people are suffering from right now, thinking that they, acting out of survival, not realizing that some of the most profound energy that you can that you can harness right now is right there within you. And if you took the time to do it, it would happen, right? I can almost hear people fighting with themselves in that aspect, that they don't realize how sacred they really are. So the value of meditation and stillness is kind of like, I have to do this, like I feel compelled or pushed to do these things. And the reality of it is like, no, dude, there's no reason to be dramatic about the fact that every still mind comes with practice, but we have to intend that day after day after day, doing breath work or practicing mindfulness or awareness for at least 15 minutes or more, to understand that there's a more peaceful, stable way of navigating your day-to-day stuff. And it could be the busiest shit in the world. You could have kids and daycare and you got to run the work and all that stuff. but you could still have a still mind in an active environment. And that's the beauty of practice, is what Spirit just said. So it's like we don't realize that as human beings, we have a self-responsibility, because we're beings of energy, and maintaining that energy and the awareness of that energy, is of the utmost importance, because that's what we are. We are energy and form, right? This is why, we work so much with the energy, because your balance and your alignment is not necessarily a physical act completely. It's more so a spiritual inner understanding of yourself, how you move, how you act, how things happen in your life and why. And then understanding all that orchestration, pulling it, understanding all that orchestration and being able to navigate in a more conscious way than not, right? And I can't say that when we actually start practicing things, we realize that we can harness the energy, that we can utilize the elements, that we can learn a lot more about ourselves with the teachings that are available to us in our day-to-day. We'd understand the value so much more than the incompetence of what society brings. And nobody's saying that you're incompetent. It's the incompetence, the unwillingness to want to do more, the unwillingness to push forward or move a different way, or enact change in someone's world, including yours, by not holding on to the past and unsticking yourself from hate or envy or wrath or anger, because that's all passion that has been misplaced and misconstrued, right? So the suffering that we're actually holding on to is a misunderstanding. Okay, it's wrapped in a memory of what someone did to you or how your life was, and da 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 da, and you can make 10 million excuses on holding on to that very thing that's inside of you. And the reality of it is you can let it go. You can enact that wish to no longer suffer in a way where you have before, what given the new moon information, given the water in the earth that's really grounded right now and causing us to look at ourselves from a foundational perspective. Are we truly stable? Are we truly aligned in our life? Are we following our path? Are we following our divine path? These are the questions that you have to sit in meditation with, in one way or another, to understand that you're going to gain the clarity, maybe not even in that meditation, but in the next days that follow. And in this time, the precipice of the full moon, where we're almost at 12 o'clock, I'm being told, what I'm saying, on the full moon, when it comes to its the highest point, right? And then it starts to kind of like descend, right? It's also the intensity of the energy that ascends and then descends around this time. So you figure a 3 to 5 day space, you're looking at a rainbow, you're looking at a half loop or a loop of some sort, where the pinnacles of the energies come together, as in if there is an orchestra playing, to alleviate this. If anybody's ever heard angelic music, it's like they're blowing the trumpets in the background and nobody realizes it. And they're healing us, and they're actually helping us to be able to evolve, to learn, to grow. Everybody resonates with angels in one way or another and knows that those are ascended beings of some sort. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter the label you put on it. It's more about a level of awareness and understanding that you have within yourself. So if you know that angels are around you, then they're guiding you, they're loving you, and they're presenting things to you on a consistent basis that a lot of us aren't even aware of. We're being a gift all the time. And it reminds me, they actually brought it up, and it reminds me of a video I saw yesterday about somebody falling asleep at the wheel, and whether they were drunk or not is just speculation. But I'm not sure if it was a woman or a man, right? And this happens to do with the angels, yes. Plows into a wall, ends up in a backyard in someone's pool, and the whole car ends up trashed, smacking the wall, flipping over, breaking a gazebo, and then ending up on its top, where it clearly looks like the side where the driver was completely crushed on that side. Well, when the car hit the wall, right, and it flipped over, there was a moment where it was sitting like this, and it literally plopped this person into the pool before it went end over end on top of the gazebo and then flipped right over, right? But then I stopped the video, and Spirit goes, look, that could have crushed that person. And I instantly knew, because, this has happened to me personally, that when it's not your time, fam, it's not your time. And when I say you're divinely protected, you're fucking divinely protected, I promise you. You know what I'm saying? Because literally, this woman or this figure literally got plopped out of that fucking car like it was meant to be. And instantly I knew in that moment, as I watched that video and I watched it again, I was like, that's divine timing. That's divine orchestration. That's also divine protection. And when it's not your time, it's not your time, you know? And you get to see these holy things enact in your life the more you start paying attention to yourself, knowing that this is actually happening to you right now. That if you allow it, the angels flow through you. And in times of stillness and meditation and in gratitude, we allow ourselves to receive these messages, this energy. We may not realize it at that moment because we're not healing, feeling, or saying any, hearing, feeling, or saying anything. But the actuality is the more you sit there and the more you commit and the more effort to just being still that you actually place, or being in gratitude that you actually place on a day-to-day basis, the more that energy actually flows through you and to you. Because now you're opening and welcome to something more. Even if you can't see it yet or you don't know it yet, you're opening up yourself to something more, and you're actually realizing that you're releasing fear simultaneously, because that's what's being pushed out of you right now. And it's the coolest thing to realize and to be able to explain it this way, because it's been fully complex for a lot of people. And being able to have this understanding of how, you know, divination or spiritual decline has actually happened in our lives, dude. Meditation actually proves those things. Awareness proves those things. It's like, bro, you don't realize how brainwashed we've become and how manipulated and how much of a slave system that we've become a part of, and we become a slave to ourselves, our own beliefs, our own emotions. And I think that's really important, what the full moon provides for us in these times, especially with earth and water, or fire and water. You know, when it comes to water, your emotions, when it comes to feeling a certain type of way, look how much you guard your heart and allow things to hold you back. Feel the flow or the rhythm inside of you that actually speaks to you, the one that actually loves like you love a child, or the one that pours into someone, the one that's fully open in that moment, that allows them on themselves that they're an open channel for the divine creator, for the divine, for the accentuation of compassion itself. You know? And when you open up to those things in your sacred space, in your inner temple, you know, when you do the breath work and you make that commitment, you realize that just by doing these small things on a regular basis, change everything. They change a whole paradigm for us, right? And that's the beauty of the choice, you know, that the Creator has given us, you know, not realizing that these are profound choices, the choices of value that we make but take for granted because we do them so robotically that it's almost instantaneous, that we believe ourselves to be trusting our gut or our intuition, and sometimes we don't even know that that's just robotic behaviors, pre-descripted, pre-recorded choices, acts, beliefs, trust systems. Oh, well, I'll be okay if I see this. Or, you know, I'll be more comfortable or less comfortable if I see this. You know, everybody's still looking for the red flags in things, not realizing that they have their own inner trust issues. Because if you can't figure out where the fuck it's coming from, then then the person that's being deceived is you. You know, if you're consistently looking for those things, you know, if you consistently despise something or hate something or are agitated by something, understand that you are allowing this with your heart space because you're passionate about it. Regardless of the way that it makes you feel, you're interpreting the energy for what it is, you know? And I think that, you know, I almost feel like a lot of people didn't even know that. And that's value in itself, because it makes you more rich. It makes you more driven and motivated to fix whatever it is that is ailing you in one way or another. You know, you're more open to the passive and not the aggressive, because you're no longer gnashing your teeth like you've got to bite your way out of a corner, like a wounded animal. And it's funny that they bring that up, because, you know, it's funny how, like, when we get into heated situations, we don't realize how much of a wound we behave like a wounded animal when we're hurt, or when we're backed up in a corner, or when we're pressured, or when we're oppressing ourselves. You know what I'm saying? There's always something that can have its thumb on you, but you have to understand that it has tricked you into having your thumb on you, and it's not theirs. You know what I'm saying? It's about what we believe things to be possible in that moment that create those boundaries for us, when we are limitless and boundless, you know, not to mention priceless, just like never before. You know, there's a lot of value in the now right now. There's a lot of value in the present moment. And there's a lot of value in practicing presence, you know? And I can tell you from personal experience, not only am I a witness, but I am a participant, you know, that, you know, people should commit more to themselves and realize what commitment actually looks like, because a promise is a promise. How many have you broken to yourself? How many have you actually kept those promises to another, but not the promises to yourself? And that's the reevaluation space. This is where it happens, fam. This is that full moon energy. We don't realize that, you know, this is a time for reevaluation and reflection. This is a time for revelation. And we're also in a winter solstice energy, which is also a death cycle. Releasing what no longer serves, allowing ourselves to flow with life instead of fight against it right now, because it's a really, really smooth, flowy energy that allows us to be more peaceful and humble because of the chaos that is happening outside of ourselves, right? And then it allows us to navigate life in a much more fully guided way, right? As we teach people these things for a reason, because it shows you the value itself, and the confirmations are ever existent, because now you actually have the ability to see them when we put you in the right place and you get into alignment, right? And you can try to do this yourself. But also at the same time, I want to remind everybody that I'm doing a sound and energy healing circle this evening, okay? To put you right back into balance, is what Spirit has said. This is divinely led, fam. You know what I'm saying? You were channeling energy through the bowls, through the chi, through intention, in our own sacred circles, bro. You got nothing to worry about. No, there's no piracy. There's no intrusion. There's no, oh, I feel that. No, we don't do that. We completely lock everybody in their own inner temple and in their circle to show them what it looks like, what it feels like, how to be there, how to maintain themselves, and how to give themselves 15 to 23 minutes of peace through sound bowls, you know? And embrace the flow of energy and re-educate and re-evaluate yourself in a much more harmonious and balanced way than fighting through it or kicking against it. You know what I'm saying? You know, we all try to alleviate ourselves a lot in this time, and, you know, we have to have a sense of comfort and stability, and that's what Capricorn provides. That's what the moon is providing right now. But you don't realize that it's sitting you down to navigate your emotions and what you truly value and what you don't. This is the integration of such, because once you realize that there's a problem, or you have a problem, or there's more work to be done, now is the time for releasing that. So digging deep, or taking a deep dive into yourself, or possibly even getting into a meditative space to help you alleviate this pressure, suffering, emotional failure, whatever it is that you think may be happening right now, you have the opportunity to set it free, to bring you the clarity, so that way it doesn't come back. And here we are now, ceremony, right? We practice this all the time, not realizing that these are the natural practices, these are the natural rhythms, natural cycle, natural movement of ourselves, okay? Everything you see outside of you in this moment almost seems like it's a fucking lie, but because it is. You know what I'm saying? Because you're in a pure moment, you're in a sacred moment, you're in a space like no other, because we've placed it here in order to demonstrate or show you what it looks like, what it feels like, what it might be to you, to let you know that this is a goal you can achieve on your own, you know? And we practice this on a daily basis because it's important for us to study the natural rhythms and cycles, not only of ourselves, but the seasons of ourselves. You know, and the folded maps in hand has been something that my wife has been talking about for years. And if you don't study, at least get a general idea of your astrology and how you're affected by this astrology, and placing some interest in that space. I can't tell you how, bro, it's free knowledge, man. It's free knowledge. Everybody's always looking for like a free teaching or a handout and shit like that. It's like, bro, there it is right there. You have to take the time to learn how to read it. Just like we have to take the time to learn ourselves again, you know, because we're in rebirth, fam. All these old cycles are ending, patterns, rhythms, things that no longer fucking resonate with anyone, dude, and even in existence, are just falling off right now. And you know, that's on a global scale. So understand that you are also a part of this globe. So don't be selfish and think that this ain't happening to you in one way or another. And your perspective, whether negative or positive, is influential right now. You know? And the negative usually has an emotional influence of disdain. You know? Let's be sensible. Let's be reasonable, is what Spirit is saying, because you have to understand that Earth is also very matter of fact energy. You know? And when we're dealing with a high emotional stimulation or high emotional sensitivity, we have to learn how to be on stable ground in order to absorb that energy, because it's being fed to us whether we like it or not. And it's actually a gift that a lot of people may seem as a curse simply because of the fact that they're on another level of an existence, another physical plane, not even knowing that they're there. And it's almost an illusion. Nah, can't be. I'm gonna go back to the old ways because this is bullshit. This is a con job somehow. No, the con job is actually what you walked away from, and this is the realization of that con job that you're probably giving to yourself in one way or another. Trying to keep yourself stable, trying to reason with yourself somehow. You know, no, I'll just do it later. No, I don't want to do that. No. But the initial drive tells you everything that you need to know in these moments. When you feel compelled to do something, and you feel like it's pulled here, do it. Do it. And that's how you entrain and enact and give permission for the universe to provide you more. To give you those things that you need to provide for yourself and others. And give freely and fully and wholly. You know what I'm saying? Give back to others, because that's how you give back to yourself. And a lot of you come from a space where that hasn't been done before, where you learn how to give back to yourself because you've been too busy giving to others, right? And now that you've taken that back and you've pretty much isolated yourself from everything and everyone in a way or another, where you're mindful of your energy, even around your closest friends or family. You know, God says you don't have to be mindful no more. You can stand in your awareness, stand in your vision, be proud and be loud with your signal on how much you embrace yourself and the actual fact that you're connected to the divine and so much more. It's like living in celebration, right? It almost seems like a fallacy at times when people say it, but the actuality of it is once you experience it, you understand the poetry and the romance with it. You know, you understand the divine connection for what it actually is. You understand that this is all love and there's not hate. That's an adverse effect of what we are. You know what I'm saying? Negative, positive, law of correspondence, action, behavior, right? All these things, it's like a giant calculator going off in the back of the energy field, going da 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 with every decision that we make and every calculated risk that we take. You know, but mindfulness gets you ready for more, because awareness is key in this new season, is what Spirit is saying, and you're gonna have a lot of it in it. And if you don't know how to deal with it, it could be troubling. You know? Because you're meant to see the truth and you're meant to see the authenticity, because deep down inside, that is what the soul wants. It wants to be the best self that it could possibly be. It's here to succeed. It's here to thrive. It's here to love. It's a seed. It's here to learn and grow. It wants to be fed. But what we've been feeding it is shit. And we realize that every cycle. You know what I'm saying? When it comes up, or it comes out, or we overreact, or we over-respond, or we become completely blind to the fact that we're forgetting about ourselves. So all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, here we are, batshit crazy when we were so calm. New moon, new you. Full moon, look at you. You know what I'm saying? Look what you've overcome. Look what you've combated. Look what you fought against and didn't have to. But where are you in those? Where are you in that space to receive that knowledge? How committed are you to receive that knowledge? Do you reach out to an elder, or do you reach into yourself? Either way, you can score. You know what I'm saying? To know more. Because self-discovery is a bitch's first, especially when you don't know how to do it. That's why, you know, kind of like learning how to get up and walk again in that space is really important. You've done it before. You have the skills. Okay, now it's about the orchestration and the know-how, how you enact those things, how you set up a plan or set up a viable future and foundation for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? By practicing the flow of chi, by understanding how it moves, by understanding the architecture of it, by being taught these things or learning these things, we value more the fluid flow of life than the fact that we fight against it, changing our complete perspective about every situation that we've ever done and every situation that we do in the moment. It's a more rich way of living, fam. Bro, it's just money on racks on racks on racks. You know what I'm saying? They just showed me it's a bunch of money in the bank because our energy truly is our currency. You know, we have responsibilities. Don't get me wrong. There's bills to pay and stuff like that. But when the energy ain't right, you fight it. You fight against it. When things don't go in your favor, what do? We usually cower in fear, or we try to eat ice cream, or we try to make ourselves feel better. We try some type of supplementation somehow to compensate for the very inner lack that we have within ourselves, right? But it's not even a lack. It's a call. It's a signal. It's a push. Hey, look at this. Hi, I'm here. Hey, look at you. Hey, pay attention to me. Because I need you too. This body needs you just as much as you need it. You're the spirit in it. And you got to learn how to nurture that, because you're no different than a plant. You know, this is awakening, fam. This is realizing divine truth and oneness. Everybody talks about it, and then few experience it. But we're all meant to follow the same path. There's no rush. You can be as comfortable as you want to, but just understand that with comfort comes instability, because it doesn't come from true authenticity place. You know, and we have to find that true authentic place in ourselves. I found myself. I promise that. You know what I'm saying? I promise you that I found myself to the point where I actually have the ability to, and the respect and the honor and the sovereignty to deliver these messages in a way that you can understand. You know what I'm saying? Because on the other side of the fence, everything's energy. And we have to learn that how to interact with it and align ourselves with it and live in harmony with it. Because everything else is falling fucking apart. It's telling you everything you need to know about where you're headed and what you think you should do. Get to know you. Understand that a lot of our survival instincts actually trap the electromagnetic frequencies and only focus them on fear. When in actuality, the heart chakra is more like a sun. And we should be radiating that light from the very thing that we are. And if you could take a brief moment to kind of like just remember what's in your chest, bro. Take a fucking good look up when the clouds aren't out. And that's why we teach you about the chakra system and the 7 suns, in a sense. Learn how to illuminate yourself. And this is what we do, energy healing 101 and spirituality. You know, it's basically spirituality 101 when you get down to the nitty gritty. But we have these courses available to you, sound and energy healing, where you get to understand more of these things on fourcornershealing37.com and possibly even become a healer yourself. And if you're not going to become a healer, hey, fuck it, heal yourself. Go through the experience. Enjoy yourself. Understand that there's trials and tribulations and surrendering and things that need to be done in a completely different way than where you lived before. We have to honor that space, because in order to honor that space, you have to honor yourself. And it's something that a lot of people haven't even done before. They don't even know what that is on the other side of the fucking fence. You know, it's a divine space. It's a divine place. It's a nice place. It's a place where you actually get to get to the brass tacks of your own bullshit and yourself, and get to see the higher, more authentic you get closer and closer to you as you practice, as you become more self-aware, as you become more gifted and available, you know, to serve yourself and others in a loving and a compassionate way, the way that the Creator used to have it. We're getting back to the old ways in a new self, right? Because the return of the Creator is also one and the same. And maybe we should be more welcoming of it somehow. And the easiest way to say yes is to sit down with yourself and make a declaration on this day to reconnect with the very thing that you are, the all, the one, the Creator, your spirit guides, ancestors, all pieces of you. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to look at the dark shit because we don't want to associate ourselves with dark shit because we're still in survival mode, not realizing that it's all that is. We're fighting against something that has been here before, and it fucking knows us better than we know ourselves. And this is the survival instincts that have to we have to not entrap ourselves in anymore. And that's the answer to the higher calling. And this comes cycle after cycle after cycle in one way or another, disguised as something more, disguised as something less. You know what I'm saying? But in actuality, if you stay centered, you realize that they're one and the same. And active growth depends on planetary behavior, astrological structure, and your mental awareness of all of it. You know, so it doesn't really matter how you are. When you start practicing these things, the universe automatically gives you more. You know, some people might even create an awakening within themselves, which can be dangerous if we are not grounded and stable and have the proper foundation for these things, because we have to be responsible. Because if not, you'll go straight up into the clouds and think that you're the eighth dimension and ascended being of an ascended master, da 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 da. You know, ego and glory. I am something now. You know, not realizing that that needs to be grounded and anchored too. Because that divine light is within you, and the most important thing is to anchor it in this planet. And I believe that a lot of people have heard that story before, in one way or another, that we were meant to activate the ley lines and anchor the planet in a new higher dimensional structure, because we're now all acceptance to it, because she's already there. We just got to ground into it, the 5D. It's already there. We have to stabilize ourselves and activate ourselves enough to live there, to exist there on that dimensional field while all this other stuff is happening. You know? And you don't suffer anymore. And that's, you know, the promise to you. That when you reevaluate these things and you welcome it and you show gratitude for them, it's a gratitude like no other, because you realize how grateful you haven't been before. You know, and that's how you get to honor another, and you respect the path and everyone's place and space in this world, and you stop judging and you stop over-examining everything, only to realize that you have been over-examining yourself for comfort, to make yourself feel a certain type of way because you had to tell yourself a certain truth that didn't matter. You know, that's as real as it gets, fam. We all do this in one way or another, whether it's fucking in one aspect of our life or another. You know, it's all growth and change. And we have to be more willing and accepting of those growth and that change, because it's ever constant and ever changing, right? Some of us don't even realize that we change our frequency with a fucking thought. And we're in a new timeline, and then we wonder why we're forgetting shit all the fucking time. We can't remember where we fucking put our keys. We think ADHD is a fucking thing. No, your brain is changing frequency so fast, you don't even know it. So you're on a level of elevation, and then you're not. And then you're over here, and then you're not. And then you're all over the place. And this is the point behind foundation and alignment, is to keep you from being all over the place so you can stay centered regardless of where everything goes. Everything goes and flows my way, right? But you have to be open and up to allow yourself to be led that way. And feeling the flow and understanding yourself and the energy body and the energy being is of the utmost importance in that space. And that's why I'm here, is to promote health, wealth, and abundance in an energetic sense by awareness, perception, grounded foundation. Stability is the theme here in this season. You know what I'm saying? Because it helps everybody understand that they're taking things a little too hard on themselves, and this session, the circle that we're doing tonight, will alleviate that energetic pressure to show you what you are underneath underneath the surface. You know, this is a beneficial program for everybody. It's just $22 tonight, fam. I'm going to play sound bowls with healing intention. Of course, you know the divine is going to be, they're aware of this. And all your teams are aware of this, because we make this announcement out there first. You know, come one, come all that are willing to be healed and understand and learn and grow themselves, you know, and here we are. The event is tonight at 6:06 Mountain Time. Again, it's just $22 for a ticket, $22 donation, fam. And I'll be more than happy. Spirit and I will be more than elated to perform for you tonight and actually give you a demonstration of how to learn and grow in a more positive and constructive way by getting to know yourself more instead of looking outside yourself for more. Salah, what's up, Megan? How you doing, my lady? It's a wonderful, it feels like the night time because we've been surrounded by clouds for I don't know how long. Okay. I finally saw the sun right before I came live, and I was like, oh, the sun, thank God. It's been gray here for days. You know what I'm saying? Especially being in the valley, it's kind of hard to blow all this shit out, but the winds of change have done that. You know, it's also a profound sign that things are changing. You know, a lot of us woke up to war this morning, or an aspect of terrorism somehow. You know what I'm saying? You know, or, you know, it's just the Antichrist is what I hear. Spirit's got jokes. You know, so like in the time of profound change, you realize that it's happening out there. It's happening in here too, fam. And we have to be more accepting of what's happening inside to be more aware of what's not happening outside. You know, what are we not doing? How are we not taking care of ourselves? Because energy matters, but money don't matter if you don't have the energy to fucking make it. Right? So again, we go back to grounding and stability. Because if money is your world problem, in a sense, in your financial construct, it's a lack of self-worth and alignment with abundance. It's a lack of self-work and self-awareness within oneself. You know, a lot of people say that we create our own experiences. Well, here we are with the proof that it happens this way, and many other ways too. And again, when we become more self-aware of these things, through alignment, through meditation, through engaging in a sacred space and listening to teachings, getting guidance, seeking elders, we become more peaceful in the moment to help us navigate whatever's going on outside of ourselves. We're not looking for a piece of candy here, fam. We're alleviating problems. You know what I'm saying? Stupid is something that I fixed, so I know it's possible. So that means that there's a lot of things that aren't impossible in our lives that we may have a limiting behavior or a limiting understanding of, and we should intend to know more because it makes us feel uncomfortable somehow, or we're elated to know more about it. You know what I'm saying? When was the last time you were charged to do something? You know, when did it just come out of you and you just did it and you didn't realize what you were doing in the moment, but when you were done, holy shit. That's how God moves, man. And staying grounded in those moments is really cool because it shows you your passion and your creative freedom. Your ability to express yourself. It's poetry, man. It's living poetry. You are life in form. That is what you are. A living poetic justice is what Spirit said. You know what I'm saying? But you've been injustified somehow. And now it's time to justify those things for yourself. And injustify the things that don't serve you anymore. You know? And we try to use different words because a lot of people get tired of hearing the same shit. But if something pisses you off because it's been said before, remember that that's a you problem. Okay? Because not every word is cliche. You don't even realize that just because you've heard the word before doesn't mean that you're not in a new place where that word is more welcoming than what you thought of it before. You know, a lot of people don't realize that when they flip through time frames or when they flip through timelines or they change their frequency in a day, you could be dealing with 10 aspects of yourself not knowing it. And that's why you feel so Jekyll and Hyde sometimes. What the fuck is wrong with me? Why is everybody overreacting? Why is everybody so stupid today? Come on. You gonna act like you haven't done it? I see a lot of cheeks turning red right now. You know, they don't want to admit it, is what Spirit's saying. But we all judge ourselves somehow, and that's not fair. If we're going to judge ourselves, let's do it in a fucking constructive way where we get to the fact of the matter and understand that our emotions don't perpetuate those things consistently for ourselves and put them in circles and in cycles until we're ready to fucking take them and be like, yo, all right already, thank you. Have a nice day. You know, it's a spiritual offering, fam. We talk about reciprocation all the time, and we don't realize that when we're meant to release these things, what's up for a fucking view, and we feel all this, whatever the hell's going on, it could be even beautiful sensation. We're meant to say thank you and release them and then trust the process of that releasing. However long it takes, right? Again, it's commitment, fam. You know? We got to be willing to trust something that we're not necessarily sure of, that we know nothing about. But hey, I have a clue on how this works. And then you get it proved to you, as long as you're willing to check the price of pay attention and how much effort and devotion it actually takes at first in order to reestablish a rhythm like no other. A reevaluation and a regeneration, because we're in that season of these things. Getting ready for spring. Getting ready to plant seeds if you're not planting them already. You know what I'm saying? And then watch everything flourish and grow in the summer, as long as you maintain it, just like yourself. You know, the sun, the longest day of the year, the summer solstice, Salah. You know what I'm saying? A celebration of you and the fullness of you, are of what you actually are, which is sun. You know what I'm saying? Which is light. And then we go into the autumn, harvest. We harvest the seeds that we have sown this year. And we engage in the harvest, and we work through the harvest. We work through the fall. And then when we're done in the fall, the winter solstice comes. And then the winter is death and rebirth, renewal, reevaluation, and regeneration. And here we are. And everybody's going, what the fuck is wrong with me? What the fuck is wrong with people? You don't know the natural thing, way of things. But you can say yes to it and learn more. I don't go by a clock. It's bullshit. I don't go by a calendar. It's bullshit. I go by what I feel, I hear, I see, and I know. Because I come from here inside. I am divinely led from within. And, you know, being a shaman has helped that space too, because it's the elders that taught me the natural ways of those things. How the natural seasons were the calendar. How the alignments of the stars were the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go back to that, fam. You know, let's really, really try to break the matrix in our fucking lives, bro, because the shit is, it's abundant on the other side, is what Spirit is saying. It's like, bro, this is let's release the con job and walk to the other side where there's actually ability for learning and growth and positivity and a way to have everything that we need to get what we want. Bro, this is way better than fucking buying a fucking lottery ticket and actually going through the same mental process. Bro, I just called out a bunch of people, including myself. You know what I'm saying? You know that little feeling that you get, oh fuck, man, the lottery would solve everything in my life. That's a catch and bait. You know? Not realizing that same emotion and that same passion that we have to resolve our problems within a fucking moment shows us exactly how bad we want. Right? And then we either talk ourselves out of it or we con ourselves into, oh, well, we didn't win this time. Maybe we will next time. You know what I'm saying? And then we don't realize that's a poverty thing that's fucking been circulating in the background, just making its turns, because every season this happens again. You know what I'm saying? You walk away from it, you come back to it. You walk away from it, you come back to it. You walk away from it, you come back to it. Get off the fucking wagon, bro. You know? Get off the wagon. You're not poor. Lack of self-worth and poverty issues are only a lack of self-understanding and alignment with that very truth. I know. I know. But it is. And we have to be willing to accept that more. Because we've been lied to for so long that we don't know what the fucking truth is. But when it hits us, boy, it hits. And everybody, you know, I can hear it in the background. That's the fucking truth. Because it does. And a lot of people act like it don't. A lot of people act like they don't have fucking feelings, or they feel like they're numb. You know what I'm saying? It's like bullshit. You felt something. You see it in your eyes. Fuck out of here. You want to act grown? Admit your own fucking shortcomings and your vulnerability. Communicate those things to something that matter. Communicate those things to the creator of the universe. If you don't have a mom or a dad or a friend or a best friend or a wife or a lover, talk to each other. Get it out. Talk about it. Talk about the things that scare you. Talk about the things that move you. Talk about the things that motivate you. If you're not, you're always talking to God. There's always somebody listening, and there's always more than one around. And that's not to be paranoid about. It's just to understand that you are part of a global society, a sphere, okay? And human responsibility to be the divine one requires your attention, and it requires your affection, and it requires all the things that you should be actually giving to yourself in the first place. Not to make anybody feel stupid, but understand that stupid is something we can fix because it's not stupid. You just don't know anymore. You need to remember. You haven't done this before. So of course, there's things that are going to come up that are going to be adverse that keep you from doing it in the first place. And here we are. You know what I'm saying? We keep on doing the same run around, same run around, same run around. When are you going to get off? And that's self-responsibility, fam. We don't even realize how responsible we have to we have to enact for our emotions, how much responsibility we have on those things, because that moves energy. It moves mountains. It'll fire you up and it'll burn you down. And we go through this, yeah. You know what I'm saying, bro? The roller coaster. Not realizing that we can actually get off or learn how to ride it. Much love. Thank you. So, I just wanted to come out here and, kind of like do a little promo for the Sound and Energy Healing Circle and then show you promise and what clarity actually brings to people. You know what I'm saying? None of you are like me. Don't compare yourself to me. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's unique to themselves, and as much as that might hurt, bro, you have to accept that. You're meant to learn what you're meant to learn. And I'm here to be what I'm meant to be. So there's no comparison within thee. We're all one, man. I'm on a level playing field here, fam. I just understand that there's more than one level, and so do you. And bringing more awareness to that space will help you too and guide you. So please reach out if these are the things that you're looking for in your life. If you're looking for true direction, true sovereignty, true divinity, true authenticity, truth, clarity. You know what I'm saying? The things that a lot of people don't necessarily value anymore because they're busy spending too much money on Amazon out here. You know what I'm saying? These are things to invest in because you're investing in something that'll give something to you back. You're investing in yourself and you're reciprocating the energy and you're welcoming the abundance that it provides when coming into acceptance of it. You know what I'm saying? If you can't do these things on your own, we'll help you. Just reach out and we'll work with you to show you what it is to have a strong spiritual foundation, and you can come to your own conclusions. We guarantee it. There's a promise there, but it doesn't come from a personal promise. It comes from a promise from a man upstairs itself, or the woman, whichever way you choose. You know what I'm saying? Deity or other. Spirit guide, ancestor, lover, I don't know. But I feel like a lot of people really need to get to know what Gaia actually is first. And getting to know themselves is the process of completing that journey. Because she knows groundedness like no other. And she knows stability. And at the end of the day, you look at her and she's a sun too, at the core. And look at all she's built. And you can too, is what she's saying. For yourself, for your life, and for others. Please provide more to ourselves, because ourselves is what makes more. Without that, you just take. And I'm not all about the taking, she says. So we have to understand that honoring the Great Mother is honoring the great soul that she is. And it's also honoring the fact that she does suffer too. And respect is due, is what she said. Honor another, honor ourselves through another, but honor ourselves more. So a message from me to you, she says. Because a lot of you don't know what stability truly is till you enact me, till you embody what I am, which is also you. And we know you, and we'll grow you, because you're no different like any other, you're no different than the sun. I am you. can't tell you how much of a pleasure it is to work with that energy, because it humbles me as a man to understand feminine energy and the mother energy. You know what I'm saying? It's a comfort like no other, and a stability like no other, because it allows me to see things clearly and do what I do here. You know, so I promise you it fucking works. You know what I'm saying? That's the guarantee. That's the promise. Proof is in the confirmation. And a confirmation you receive like you have once more, is what Spirit just said. So, again, we're doing Sound and Energy Healing Circle tonight, fam, and we'd love for all of you to become a part of it, and any friends or family that you think would benefit from that space. Again, it's just $22. Tickets are available online, and we'll be doing this thing here later on today. All right, so much love to each and every one of you. Have a beautiful and blessed day, fam, and we look forward to seeing you if you have the willingness to do so and the availability. Take care.